Hi, pretty girl, my beautiful dog. And you are so beautiful. Email it. Okay, it's right here. Why can't I get to it? I want to. I don't know what it's doing. right there. I don't know why it won't work.
Okay.
She said she got a pretty good response back from our ADA.
Oh,
So
good.
that was good.
Good.
So then the next thing I need to do, I need to pull up our firm map. See, what zone it's in. I mean, there are certain zones, and I don't know what you guys would do applicable. There are certain zones.
Right.
With a livable portion of the structure, etc. So,
Right.
but it seems like they're ready to go, and they could do condos, and they could do the 4 units, so it'll be all 12 units. They just run the fly. It's probably pretty advantageous. Sally. Well, I got the engineering report. I don't know, did you ever see that engineering report was done on the water, sewer, drainage, streets by Osaki? Back in 2017.
17. Okay. It's
So the total cost of those improvements was $214,000, but in 2017, that could have been.
Sure.
Not now.
It's not going to be.
So I got to look at that.
Mhm.
Sally was thinking about using CWT.
Right.
But I think now with all these new ARPA funds coming out, and especially where Colorado is really interested, I know this Bomber's email the other day from CML that they're really interested in using some of that ARPA money towards this.
Mhm.
That this might be a real good time for us to hit with our. I thought at one point in time it'd be something that the town would maybe want to consider as an in-kind contribution, but I think there's going to be so much free money.
Well,
Remiss at not trying to
yeah,
shoot for it.
yeah. I'd also, at some point, like to approach Tommy Buckley about his apartment buildings.
I heard, well, she came in today and said there's a couple of them open. So.
Well,
Excuse me, you guys. Hi, it's Jen. You might want to mute yourself, okay? Because we're on the air. Hey. I mean, yeah, but let me give you can you just go to zoom.us and enter this webinar ID? Yeah, I'll just go to zoom.us and then I'll give you the webinar ID. Let me know when you're there. It's 833-4203-2337. See what happens. Okay, and then I'll promote you to a panelist once you get there.
Can you hear me then?
Okay, hey Steve. Okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I've never done it on this computer.
You're good. Bye-bye. Lynette was on here, but I don't see her anymore.
She's trying to get back on the back way, like you told her.
Okay, because she was on there. She was looking good.
Yeah, but the thing is, she was shown that she was muted, but it wasn't. So.
Oh.
So
Okay.
she's going the back way,
Okay.
typing with one finger, so it's a little slow.
Well, she's got a lot of time, so she's good.
Yeah, probably use her left hand.
You're looking good, Lynette.
Okay, so you can hear me right now.
Uh-huh.
And if I hit mute, come on.
There. Yep, now you're muted. Yeah, you are. I can't hear you. Hi, Bob.
Hello.
There we go. Okay. All right, it is 6 PM and we have 5 out of the 6 selectmen. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Town of Georgetown Board of Selectmen to order. It is Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. And here in the background is the flag. If everybody would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
public
and to the republic for which it stands,
nation
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll do roll call. I am Lynette Kelsey, police judge. Rob Connell,
Here.
Deanne Powell,
Here, Ward 1.
John Jennings,
Here.
Paul Hinton,
Here.
and Mary Smith.
Here.
And do we have Rich yet? Apparently
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. All right. Agenda approval. Does anybody have anything they want to add or change on the agenda? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mary, was that you that seconded?
That was me.
Okay.
Go Mary.
You didn't see my lips move?
I did- it- And I didn't see the yellow frame on your square, so, okay. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
I
Any opposed? Motion passes. Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest not already on the agenda. Jennifer, do you know if we have anybody here for audience business?
Not that I know of. We have one attendee, I believe it's Mark Reynolds, who's here to talk about or listen in on DRC, but I'll promote him then.
Okay, great.
Unless I'm wrong, and then type your name into the chat if I got that wrong.
I'll wait. I'll give a minute for some.
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
Okay, very good. So no audience business, we move on. We have the payables from January 7th through January 20th, 2022. Does anybody have any questions, comments on the
I've got
payable?
a couple.
Yes,
Under administration, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth from the bottom of that one, it says Cheesecake Kent. I want to know what that is.
That is the cheesecake we bought for Kent's going away party.
It just seemed rather bizarre. And why does on page 2, under 1050, what is it, 583 road improvement plan, it says down payment on 22nd Street Bridge. Why isn't it an installment or something like that? Down payment sounds like somebody's gonna own something.
No, they asked for money up front before they started the project, and so that's what that is.
It still seems like it should say installment or initial or something like that, because down payment sounds like somebody's gonna own something rather than that it's a contract being whatever. Over on page 3, under the sales tax fund capital improvement stuff,
okay.
it's talking about the police department truck lease. Is that for a single truck?
Nope.
No, it is for 3 trucks and it is the last payment.
Cool beans, then I don't have a problem. I just looked at that and went, for 30 grand, we ought to be able to own a truck, but cool, okay,
That is an annual payment also.
okay.
It was. Anything else?
On page 4, under gas and electric, under the sewer fund, 5240620. Again, there's 2 utility things there. Are they
One is for the plant and one is for the lift station.
cool beans? Okay, I just needed some clarification. Thank you.
Sure.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on the payables? Okay, if not, who would like to make a motion to approve the payables?
I would. I'll make a motion to approve the payables that are dated 12/24/2021 to
No,
1/16/2022.
what, you got the wrong dates. It's 1/7 to 1/20/2022.
Sorry. That's why I was having trouble finding everything.
I see.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the payables from January 7th, 2022 through January 20th, 2022 as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have the minutes of our last meeting, which was on January 11th, 2022. Any comments, corrections? I just had the one under agenda approval. We've got John's first name instead of his last name, if we could change that.
Sweet.
Selectman John.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it.
Small
Yeah.
town. Small
It's
town.
Thank
famous.
you.
You're famous. You don't need
No
any-
problem. Everybody knows John.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
Okay, thank you.
sure, thanks. Anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes with that correction.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the January 11th, 2022 regular meeting minutes of the Board of Selectmen as corrected. Any further discussion?
I
Yes,
have
Deanne?
discussion. Anytime somebody votes no, that it should be documented as to why, not
No.
just that there is.
We're not doing that, Deanne. No. We've discussed that before. We're not doing that. A no vote is just a no vote. A yay vote is a yay vote.
But the yay is documented because it's what the past motion is stated as. It needs to be documented that there are people who disagree with what's going on.
Right? But there's nothing that says that we have to say why. If people want to know why, they can go to the recording and watch the recording and listen to the discussion. We've
And-
discussed this before. And
And
we-
I don't agree with it at all, because according to Robert's Rules of Order, when it's a governmental thing, there's supposed to be more documentation.
And excuse me, Deanne, I don't know if you noticed, but in the paragraph above, I did put a little bit of discussion about, like, are you referring to on page 2?
Yeah, but it's still, it seems like they should be connected and easier to find.
Well, I mean, I feel it's clear, and I did try to give you the respect of.
Okay, you did good, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
So, okay.
Hey, Jennifer,
That
would you
was
do
a-
me a
Yes.
favor, please, and email me the current agenda packet?
Yeah, I can do that. Oh, and Rich is here. Hi,
Yes.
Rich.
I did notice. Hi, Rich. Okay, so any other further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any? Did I jump on your eye, Mary?
No, I said aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, new business. We have resolution number 2, series 2022. And that is a resolution of the Board of Selectmen authorizing an application on behalf of the town for a grant for the Argentine Street Gateway North project. And I'm gonna let Cindy Neely unmute herself and join us, and
Okay.
thank you.
All right. This is what we discussed 2 weeks ago, the grant from the Department of Transportation's Revitalizing Main Street program for large infrastructure grants that deal with safety. And just a real brief refresher, the grant, if we were so lucky as to receive this grant, it would provide for sidewalks between 15th and 22nd Street on the east side of Argentine, and a bikeway, sidewalk and lights on the east side, and a bikeway of 10 feet wide on the west side from 22nd Street to 15th Street. It does not go down beyond the lake because, quite frankly, the CDOT right-of-way encompasses Argentine Street at that point. And so we want to stay out of the right of way. The total amount estimated needed for the project is $1,052,638, I think the number is. And it requires a 20% of it be a match by the town. And so our request is at 842,000 something. Well, I don't, it's not sitting in front of me at the moment. And the grant requires that there is a resolution authorizing the application for this money and acknowledgement of the necessary grant match from the Board of Selectmen. And so Jerry very kindly has prepared this resolution. And so if you go ahead and approve it, I will go ahead and put the finishing touches on the application and send it away by probably the end of this week.
All right. Thank you so much, Cindy. Anything to add? Either Steve or Jerry? Nothing?
The approval of the resolution will approve the filing of the application.
Application. Wonderful. Okay. Any questions for, yes? Go ahead, Deanne.
In the approval, it says that the 20% match is 211,000, and Cindy just gave a lot higher of a number. Which one is it?
No, I think I did give that number
I
because
thought you said 842,
that's what we're asking for.
Right.
but the resolution thing says 211.
That's what we're promising to match with. I'm asking them for 842. We are promising
Okay.
to match it with 211 for the total of 1,052,000, which is
Right.
what it takes to do the project. At least
All
we
right.
hope we can get it done for that. And if anybody's watching the price of concrete, that's debatable. Daily debatable.
Daily. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay. In our packets, there is a recommended motion if anybody would like to make it.
I move to approve resolution number 2, series 2022 is presented, authorizing the submittal of a larger safety infrastructure grant application to the Colorado Department of Transportation for the Argentine Street Gateway North project.
I'll second that.
Yeah, baby.
Who raised to the second?
Rich
Was that
got it.
Rich?
Rich.
Rich
by-
got
John.
it. Okay, okay.
by a huge amount.
So
Ward 3 is cruising on this one.
we love it. We love it. So it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 2, series 2022 as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Cindy,
Yes.
before you check out, or maybe you're just muting and then coming back, but sometimes they also like to see a letter of support from the elected official. Do you want me to write?
Well, first I would say I would love to have one from you as police judge.
Okay,
I would say that Ward 3 has supported this, in that Rich has written a letter of support. And I would further add that I think that the most powerful letter of support I have was written by your marshal, Randy
okay,
Williams. And Randy sort of told it like it was and is down along
right.
that street. And I think if anybody has any safety questions, all they need to do is read Randy's letter of support.
Okay, all right,
So I thank him very much. It
very much.
helps make.
We
a
thank
far
him
better-
as well. Yes.
Far better.
Okay,
So-
just wanted to
Yes,
make,
but Lynette, if that's going to happen, I'd like it to happen really soon, because I now want rid of this thing.
yes, you bet. Yep, I will make that happen quickly.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, onward. Next, we have the contract for Bob Hamilton, and he is with us tonight as well. As you see in our packets, I don't know where that echo is coming from, but I'll.
Me.
Okay, so, and Steve, do you want to introduce this, or do you want me to, or?
No, I can do it.
Okay, great.
I think the original contract was put in place in the first part of October because Kent was leaving and there was no way for him to manage the restroom project. So the board entered into an agreement with Bob, and that agreement expired at the end of December, when we also thought that the bathrooms would be installed by, and the contract would have been fulfilled, and we would have closed the project out and moved forward. However, as you're all aware, that didn't occur because state has held up the approval of the restroom plans. That's been resolved, I think, at this point in time. Bob can correct me on that. But we're still some time out before the restrooms will be installed. So I've drafted a new contract, which really just is an additional date that takes it through the rest of this year. That contemplates not only the restroom project, but also if there's a move forward for any further improvements, and we don't have anybody in place, then at least you have somebody that can supervise the project. So I did take the date to the end of December. Past that, I'll turn it over in case Mr. Hamilton has anything additional he wants to add.
The only thing is I can update you on the project. The state finally did approve the restroom design, and it has gone to their scheduling department. And I've yet to hear back on any schedule for when they're going to start production and when we might expect delivery. But I certainly wouldn't expect it before March or April at this point. But we're ready. Everything else that needed to be done in preparation has been completed. So we're just waiting on the restroom at this point.
Do you know, Bob, if the state is still backed up? Have you received anything from them?
Yeah, they have approved it. The paperwork was returned to CFC. There's a copy of the approval, should be in the town files. I can make sure that Jennifer has that.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Any questions on the new contract that extends the time frame that we have Bob working for us? I don't see any hands raised. If not, there is a motion in your packet. Would somebody like to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. I move to approve the professional services contract with Robert Hamilton, Georgetown, Colorado, as presented. And I further move to authorize the interim town administrator to sign the contract on behalf of the town of Georgetown.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
Rich.
That was almost a tie. Who wants it? It was Mary and Rich.
Okay, Rich can have it.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the professional services contract with Robert Hamilton, Georgetown, Colorado, as presented. Any further discussion? Yes, Deanne?
Never mind.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed?
I'm radically opposed to anything that'll destroy the park in downtown, which will kill our economic base.
Okay. All right. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is discussion with the Design Review Commission, regulations discussion regarding certificate of appropriateness enforcement. Steve, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Quite a few meetings ago, I was at a DRC meeting and there was some discussion, and I think it revolved around actually the Bighorn at that point in time. With regard to the DRC was issuing certificates of appropriateness, but didn't necessarily feel that all of the provisions of the certificates were being adhered to before the certificate of occupancies were being issued by the building official. And while the municipal code does authorize the building official to enforce the terms of the COA, Safe Built's not prepared to do so. And so I approached the town attorney with regard to what were some options that we could consider in order to provide adequate enforcement of these properties before the CO is issued, because once the CO is issued, it's sort of Katie bar to the door. You really don't have any enforcement authority, as I'm sure you're all aware. And so Jerry did draft up an email to me with several opportunities that we could consider. I talked to Lynette and we decided this would be best just to bring out and have an open discussion of the Board of Selectmen to see if what their thoughts were, the seriousness of the issue, the interest in developing new regulations, who could carry that out. But I also felt it was important to have Bob here as a DRC member, because Bob actually stood up to the plate with regard to a recent new construction that was getting ready to have a CO and actually went on behalf of the DRC, and I appreciate him doing that, inspected it, found a couple things to be tweaked, and that has been done. And so I've asked Bob to at least speak from not only the perspective of DRC, but from the perspective of somebody that actually went out and did an inspection and what he felt with regard to the effectiveness of that. And so past that, I'll shut up.
Thanks, Steve. Just to kind of paraphrase what Steve said, the DRC has been charged with issuing a certificate of appropriateness, which is kind of where things have ended in the past. And what really brought this to a head, as he mentioned, was Bighorn. We noted after the buildings, particularly the apartments, were built, that they had basically ignored a lot of the items on the COA. And we felt that we needed to have some vehicle where we could follow through on major projects, probably at the building permit issuance stage, to make sure that the requirements that were agreed to when they got their COA are incorporated in the design that's actually going to get built. And that was what the problem was on the apartments, is they changed the design and from what had been approved. They were missing, windows. They were missing the roof overhang at the first floor level, a few other things. And then more recently, we had the house up on, the first house in Washington Mill come ready for a CO, for an occupancy permit. And I volunteered to go up and take a look, because people going by had noticed that, the lights didn't look right from a dark sky standpoint. There was a lot of exposed foundation, which is no more than 12 inches is supposed to be exposed if it's not covered. Obviously, landscaping and grading hadn't been finished. There were a few things sticking up through the roof that were highly visible. They should have been painted. So I issued a report to the builder to take care of these items that he had agreed to, and we kind of formalize it with an actual piece of paper. And they did. They followed through on that, and I think a provisional or temporary permit was issued pending the springtime when they can get the final grading and the landscaping taken care of. So I think we have like an example, and I think we really do need, as a town, something for major projects that allows us to be involved all the way through the construction process to the final sign off by the town and issuance of an occupancy permit. That probably should be done by someone from the DRC, and we could. I'm sure there's enough talent on the DRC that we can take turns inspecting things and work that out. I don't think it needs to be any specific person that's appointed. We can put a form together that kind of a checklist. Basically, look against the elevation drawings, make sure that the building looks like what it's supposed to look like. The things that we always have problems with are flashing and vents and things coming through the roof or sidewalls that don't get painted, and they stick out like a sore thumb. Lighting, dark sky compliance, full cutoff dark sky compliance is a chronic issue. And then sometimes the foundation coverings, just a matter of either getting the grading in place or putting some kind of a finish over the raw concrete. But that's my take on it. I'd be interested in what Gerald has for how we can make this, put it in the code. And I think we should tell people up front on major projects that there's going to be a final inspection, so they know that when they walk away, it's not over. They can expect that someone's going to be watching over them.
Okay. Mark or Cindy, are you wanting to interject anything?
No, I'm fine with what Bob's presented. It's something that's been long overdue, for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I would add one, for years, when we had an in-house building department, this was not a consideration. I mean, because you can say DRC's been there a long time. Why is this issue coming up in this kind of juncture? Well, when the town had their own building inspector, that's exactly what the building inspector did. He did do the second function of making sure that the certificate of appropriate commitments were followed through. Safe Built simply isn't organized to do that. So for the last few years, we have struggled with that piece of the enforcement.
Okay. Yes,
Now,
Jerry.
There's a little bit of there's a landscape here in terms of the code. So there are places sort of to start. I've been giving a little thought, to if we're going to tune this up a bit to where that might go. There is a general code section that talks about enforcement, and it appears right before the stuff on the Design Review Commission, and it does say that all decisions of all boards under this title, so it's the whole Title 17, are enforceable, and you go to municipal court. That's not a great remedy for the kind of problems that are described here, because the kind of problems that are described here, I believe, are probably twofold. One, construction that's about to get approved at CO, or maybe threefold. There's always three. Construction that's yet to begin, but they've provided their building their plans and they're about to start pouring concrete and it's inconsistent with the CO. Construction that's complete and is about to get a certificate, is about to get a CO after having gotten a COA and is about to get a CO. And lastly, and I think importantly, maintaining the conditions on the building consistent with the requirements of the COA. A year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, then they put penetrations through the roof or the wall that weren't permitted or different colors and so it's sort of those three time-related fact patterns. And there are certainly ways to be able, and I've been giving a little thought to where we might structure an amendment to the code to do that, either in the enforcement provisions or in the section under the Design Review Commission that says nothing in this chapter prevents ordinary maintenance or repair. That'd be the place to have another section that says you've got to be in continuous compliance with the terms of your originally issued COA. And if you are not, then there are these enforcement tools. I've given a little thought to how maybe to spin out a draft ordinance for the board to consider, but and I can do that. But a little guidance on 2 points I think would be important. It's been raised, I think, by Bob and others, and that is there a review loop before construction begins and a review loop before a CO, as distinguished from the COA, is issued? And the later sort of continuous compliance, that solves itself. If you see a problem, I can deal with that. But what I would appreciate some feedback from the Board of Selectmen on is if there's to be that review loop so we can determine, hey, you're about to be in violation of your COA before you start pouring concrete, or hey, you're in violation before we give you a certificate of occupancy, who will do that? And as Cindy points out, I agree. I've seen Safe Built's got an organizational structure that does good work within its structure. And she's absolutely right. It's not really set up to do this particular work. And so we would need to provide in this ordinance I would write how that review is undertaken. It could be as generic as, the town will review against the COA before a CO is issued, leaving it open. And it could be a designee of the town administrator from time to time. And that designee could be a DRC member or not. And I recognize the desire to potentially have a DRC member, and that's fine too. That membership does change over time, but that's not a particular bar. So your choices, then I'll shut up in a minute, but your choices are to assign that task sort of generally to the town administrator or his or her designee. And as time goes on, different people will be able to do it, better suited to do it, have the time to do it. So I'm inclined to think you might want to leave it that generic so that it can stand the test of time. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. All right.
Can
I think it's important to have the review up front as the building plans are submitted and before, Jerry, you're talking about it before concrete is poured, but you generally get better response, quicker response if changes are needed to the plans if you haven't even issued the permit yet, has been my experience. And that way you've got a set of plans that shows everything that the DRC asked for, and with approval by either the town administrator who's familiar with the requirements of the COA or someone from the DRC. And then before the CO, obviously, and then going on to keep it within the compliance of the COA as time goes on afterwards. Jennifer, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you guys are kind of saying it, but like, I feel like before I submit the plans for the building permit, okay, like after the DRC has approved the COA, it seems like there should be some kind of check because they could change something. I mean, I do always include the COA with the building permit stuff, like how you guys want, but there's not a lot of like detail on it. And I don't know enough about how to read drawings. Like the last couple of times we've called Bob and he's helped, which was really good, you know. It seems to be like there's sort of a disconnect right there, you know what I mean? Like before it even gets, because I don't know how to read the drawings and to make sure that they're the same.
Right.
Someone, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yes, yes. So,
Anyway.
yes, Cindy?
I would like to second what Jennifer's saying. When people come to the DRC, they don't bring construction drawings, and we almost don't want them to because they bring conceptual drawings. Because if there's something that needs to be changed, we don't want them to have gone to the expense of construction drawings. So quite often our stipulations are based on conceptual drawings. So I agree with Jennifer. What happens then after the COA is that they then turn in the construction drawings, and that would be the point at which it would be good to have them checked that they actually reflect the COA stipulations. And you know, it used to be that the DRC stamped drawings. So before they could go to a building inspector, they stamped them as the DRC set of drawings. I'm not sure we need to go to be quite that formal, but yes, that's the first real catch point. And I think that you're right. There are the 2 points, the one at the beginning and the one at the end. Bob mentioned this would only be for major projects. On the back of a DRC application, there is the definition between major and minor. Obviously, if you're fixing a door, putting up a fence, doing we see tons of minor projects. This would not involve minor projects. It would be for something where you're building something over a certain level of square feet.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Bob.
Yeah, a good example is with the Bighorn, this next phase that they're about to embark on to build more townhomes. They, because of the problems we had with Bighorn on the apartments, we got back to them. We said, we want to see your construction drawings for, you know, your next step and what you're going to build. They submitted them. We looked at them. They were not what we approved. They had changed the design. So we said, go back, we're not approving it. Fortunately, their COA had expired, so they had to come back to us anyway for a renewal. Right. But that cycle required them to show us their construction drawings, which is not a big deal for us to look at. I mean, we're looking at elevations primarily and making sure that they get the right kind of lighting, and that it's pretty quick and easy. But it's also pretty easy to spot any significant changes from the approved design. So I think having the DRC in the loop for the issuance of the building permit would be appropriate. And then I think also a final review for issue in a review for the occupancy certificate would be appropriate. And then I hadn't even thought about the maintenance, you know, as time goes on. I think that's a great thing to reinforce, that we expect people to keep the building up in compliance with the COA. I think that's great.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Mary Smith, you had your hand up and then it took it down. Did your question go away?
No, I just had a comment I just wanted to throw out to everybody, and this is only from my personal experience as a DRC knows. We at the Smith household have done several projects, and I think some of them might fall under that major project. And just to throw this out there to everyone, when we've completed our addition, our most recent addition, Safe Built said that we don't technically get a certificate of occupancy because it was a structure adding to the existing house and we are already occupying the house and blah, 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 blah. So just when we get into the legalities of the wording, I wouldn't want us to get
Right.
tripped up on the certificate of occupancy, which in our case would not have been ever requested or issued by Safe Built. However, I would hope that since we tried to dot all our i's and t's and go to the DRC for our changes, that we would be holding someone like myself as accountable as, you know, the Bighorn or any other kind of what I'm saying or what I'm picturing as a major, you know, project. So I just wanted to throw out that, you know, let's not just hold it on a CO piece if we're going to cover this.
Well, of course, if you have the other two legs to the stool, which is, you know, the review, clearly you still need to get a building permit, wouldn't you, to do that addition or remodel. So there is the check at that point. And then I'm not saying it's as good as 3 legs to a stool, but in that context, you also have the continuing compliance requirement. So if your plans are for the addition, et cetera, are being looked at as against the COA at the beginning, that's pretty good. I hear what you're saying, Mary, about some kinds of construction don't also need a CO. They need a building permit, but they don't need a CO. And okay.
Trust me though, there was enough conversations in our particular project that the design on the outside could have come out greatly different than the designs that we submitted. And DRC, the way it stands now, you know, I don't know, I guess it would have taken me to court if it had been changed, if we hadn't been on top of things with our contractor. So I still think I applaud what DRC is doing. I am behind you guys 100% on this. You know, this is why we have these codes and appropriateness and everything else. So I'm not trying to stand in the way at all, but there's a lot of room for error and everybody knows it. So I'm just don't want to get hung up on the CO piece of the exterior design of appropriateness that was approved.
So just to point out, yet you're absolutely right, Mary, the code doesn't always require a CO, but it always requires a final inspection. And so you could tie it to that. It would then be up to, I'm not sure how whether you put the responsibility for the notification, the request for that DRC inspection on the property owner, the contractor, you know, they decide. I don't know where that ends up falling, but that would, they always need a final inspection. Yes, Bob.
What we did for Fred Elm's house up on Washington Mill is I actually prepared a formal document that was the final DRC inspection, and it noted, you know, what was in, you know, what we looked at, what was in compliance, what wasn't, and then they had things they had to fix, which we went back and checked that they got fixed. So even though they wouldn't have to have that wouldn't have to go any further than that. It would be turned into the town. Probably would be wise to have the builder or the owner notify the town that they're going to call for a final inspection, and that would be the time when the DRC would go out and take a look.
Okay.
So we could make it work pretty easily.
Okay.
And there are certain checkoffs, like Safe Built's building permit checkoff is just one part of it. And then there are a couple spots for the town that has to check off before we just give them the CO. So that would be like the perfect time.
Great, great. Is that true of all major projects or most, or?
The ones that need COs, I mean, but.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the ones that need COs are pretty clear cut, but I think that while Safe Built won't do this themselves, if we do have the arrangement that before they get an okay on a final, that the town has to say, yes, we've done the DRC inspection. I think Safe Built might be willing to accommodate that in their system.
Okay.
I don't know.
I have
Worth
a
asking.
question.
Yes.
Bob mentioned that the DRC makes a distinction between major and minor projects, right? And what I'm hearing is the kind of the direction here might be that this additional kind of enforcement inspection mechanism, however constructed, would only apply to the major ones, and that's fine. I don't see that major minor distinction anywhere in the code. So that's something that the DRC has created on the application form. And if that's true, and we're going to apply enforcement to a category of animal called the major projects, we'll need to, and it's easily done. I'm just pointing out that would have to be reflected in the code somehow as well, and we can do that. But I just wanted to make sure I heard that distinction presently exists, and there's desire on the board's behalf to apply these additional rules that I'm happy to take a draft of only to the major projects. Is that true?
That's my
Okay.
understanding. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Is that gonna hopefully solve the majority of the problems? Perhaps not every single one, but almost every one?
My suggestion would be that I create a draft
Mhm.
so that people can see words on paper that memorialize hopefully the sense of the discussion here tonight. That might be something, frankly, as a draft, be helpful for DRC as a group in a regular meeting to review and comment on, so that then it could come to the board with having been kind of vetted, a little bit of red line comments or whatever from DRC, and make your action when you see it on first reading, more productive. And you'll have two readings as well.
Right.
Give you the chance to edit it yet even further, but
Mhm.
we have to start somewhere, and I'm happy to put some words on paper that encompass the discussion.
Yep, I was thinking the same thing, Jerry. Is that agreeable to everybody? I'm seeing lots of nodding heads
Yes.
and thumbs up, and yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Appreciate all the input. Okay. All right. Next, we move on to staff items. The interim administrator's report is up first.
Yeah, I presented a written report to you all. I just give you a couple of updates. I did, as of today, actually write to the new Bighorn Crossing LLC or whatever they're called with regard to the DRC's concerns about the Bighorn apartments and their compliance with the COA. So that letter will be going out this week. I also made contact with the developer of Bighorn Crossing project as they're entering into, I guess, what we consider phase 2, to continue on with the dialogue with them pursuant to the board's direction. Oh, quite a while ago, actually. I'm sorry for that, but I got a good response, and I presented with them with the notes that I had with regard to some of the concerns that I've gotten, not only from the community, but also the board. And so I'll give them a while to stew over what it was I presented them, and then we'll reapproach them probably in the next week and see if they have any idea or game plan with taking care of some of that stuff. Garrett Smith, who is the project manager, did indicate that once the snow was gone, they were going to do some hydro seeding of some of the dirt in order to try to keep it in place. And so we can talk about that, but that first initial contact has been made, and we'll see where it goes from there. One interesting note I wanted to give you guys with regard to the town administrator hiring process was that the two communities that we've talked about that were currently in the process, which was the city of Florence and the city of Cripple Creek, they ran into about the same situation we did, and that is they only had two applicants that they could consider the two finalists. And Florence is doing theirs on, I thought they were doing it last Thursday, but newspaper came out today and said it'd be February the 8th. And then Cripple Creek is doing theirs on the 11th. So apparently we weren't being singled out. It was just the sign of the times. And I'm hoping for better things. I think the board's given us good direction with regard to how to advertise. We'll see how effective it is in producing reasonable candidates after this point, but time will only tell. And that's all I had to report. I can answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Steve. Any questions from the board? All righty. COVID update. I don't have anything. Does anyone else have anything? Yes, Deanne?
There's a new variant out. Are we happy?
I did hear that. Outside of Denmark or?
That's all I've heard too, but
Okay.
it's an Omicron with something like B.275 or some silly number and yay.
Well, that's what viruses do. So. All right. Does anyone else have anything else to add?
That probably counts under the COVID thing. The state is giving away masks and we have them at the library. If anybody wants them, they'll give you 5. They're either surgery grade or N95s, but it looked like the stash of M95s was smaller. So if that's what you're really interested in, but they're free and 5 masks is better than no masks.
Yep. Precisely. Thank you. I did hear, now that you mentioned things that are going on, the Fed rolled out a site that will be distributing free rapid tests, but they're limited as to number, and they're having some address glitchy problems because if you live in an apartment building, if someone in another apartment has already requested it, it might come up as already filled, can't get any more. If you have more than one family in one address, that could be a problem. I've also heard that post office boxes can be a problem. Just to let everybody know, they want to know what the problems are so they can fix them if that's something you're interested. The federal website is out there. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but yeah, they are trying to work out those bugs that they've already run into, and chances are they'll run into some more. So, all right. So next we have the executive session. Is that correct? Okay.
John has the motion, I believe.
Okay, and
Part of it.
Okay.
You'll have to help me fill in.
I don't have any motions. I'm afraid.
I can read most of it and then you could add whatever you want and I'll so move it. I move to go into executive session under CRS 24-6-402, parent 4A, B, and E for a conference with the town attorney, interim town administrator, and appropriate staff to receive legal advice and instruct negotiators regarding potential purchase of real property. And mine ends right there.
Just add that you further move to adjourn the meeting at the close of the executive session.
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
I,
opposed? Motion passes.
I believe Jennifer has sent out a separate Zoom link for the executive session.
Okay,
Everyone has it, or if you don't, contact Jennifer.
okay,
Yep.
we'll figure this out. Give you about 10 minutes? Does that seem
10 minutes.
reasonable?
Okay.
Terrific.
And if the time is on the invitation is for later, it'll still work if we just go ahead. You know,
Okay.
we don't have to worry about that.
All right, thanks.